Once upon a time, or maybe twice, there was an unearthly paradise called
The Mermaid Tavern. Welcome. Chin Chin, Slonjava, Yakida, Salute, Bottoms Up. Cheers. So, with all the talk about the Beatles biopics, and last year I was talking about actors that played the Beatles, and as I observed, and many of you will observe, there'll never be as good a biopic as the Ruttles. Here's to the Ruttles. That's the best. That's the best Beatles biopic, isn't it? There's never going to be one as good as that. It's not just funny, but it captures the whole spirit of it all, doesn't it? And the madness, and in a very affectionate way. The first four actors to play the Beatles. Well, if we're going to be picky, voice the Beatles were the Yellow Submarine actors, and they were kept a bit under the wraps, weren't they? I was just reminding myself how far down they are in the credits. Almost like they didn't want to sort of big them up. And but those four actors, John Clive, Paul Angelis, Jeff Hughes, and who played George Harrison? Well, yeah, John Clive voiced John, Paul Angelis voiced Ringo, and Jeff Hughes voiced Paul, but who voiced George? Well, I don't suppose these days you'd have to be Beatle Brain of Britain to know that. Alan, you'll have known that, wouldn't you? Ex-Beatle Brain of Britain, Beatles convention, when was it? Most people know it's a guy called Peter Batten. Peter Batten, or Batten. And people know the story about him. We'll talk about that in a minute. It's an interesting story, if you don't know, which itself would make a movie, I think, But yeah, these actors were hired to play the Beatles. Sure, the Beatles didn't want to do another movie. They were contractually obliged to do another movie, and there was this Beatles cartoon series going in America for a number of years, which they hated, didn't they? They absolutely hated. And it is pretty awful, isn't it? It's all kind of wacky, slapstick, goofy. Yeah, it's not particularly great, is it? I mean, it was shown a bit in England. I do remember it being shown a bit in the 70s, but it was not something I was fond of. It certainly didn't endear me to the Beatles. I think I watched it before I even got into the Beatles. On that subject, Yellow Submarine, I can't remember when I first saw it. I know I got this as a gift. My Corgi Toys Yellow Submarine. Oh, this is special. I got this. I definitely had this. I was given this for Christmas, I think it was. Definitely before Christmas 1969. So I may have been bought it. I was 4 in 1968. I was 5 in 69. So I definitely had it before then. But I don't remember seeing the film. I don't remember seeing the movie. I did see the movie in the cinemas. Did you go and see it in the cinema? It was re-released, wasn't it, in 1999? That was the 30th anniversary. I didn't go then, but I definitely had seen it in the cinema before that. I cannot remember. I think I remember reading that I think the first time it was shown on British television, BBC showed it in 1974. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark. I think you told me that. I remember seeing it like when I saw all the other Beatles films for the first time, including Magical Mystery Tour, in that season before Christmas, 1979. Christmas 1979, I talked about that here at the Mermaid Tavern a while ago, maybe a year or so ago. But I had seen Yellow Submarine, and I cannot remember where. but I'd definitely seen it. Anyway, I was given this as a gift before, long before I loved the Beatles, long before. But I loved it. It's still great, isn't it? And it's the corgi toy. And yep, here they come up. This one's a bit still. Oh, they both came up then for the camera. Well done, Beatles. Oh, it's great. I love it. It's pride of place in my little bless it, blessed toy from my blessed youth. Let's put it back over there before it goes. Let's put it down here for now. For now, it can make an appearance. I was watching in researching all this. John Clive, the actor who plays John, very familiar to British TV and film audiences. He was. I used to think he was Welsh for some reason, because it stood out for me that he played a part in Rising Damp, which is a great. If you're not from these shores and you don't know Rising Damp, it's a great sort of sitcom about Rigsby, this sort of awful seedy landlord in this place with tenants and a sort of moth-eaten pullover and a cat called Vienna, and he played a sort of Bible-bashing Welshman. And it must have really stuck in my mind because I didn't remember that specifically, but I thought he was Welsh, and he was actually born in sort of London area, I think, but about age 6, he went up to live in Liverpool. All the actors in this, the first four actors to play the Beatles, they were all Scousers, really. Yeah, well, brought up in Liverpool. And in the case of Geoffrey Hughes, I heard that he was born in Wallasey, which is on the Wirral, if you don't know, the other side of the Mersey, which is the Liverpool area, and was brought up in Liverpool. So was Paul Angelis. Talk about Paul Angelis in a minute, and also Peter Batten, the mysterious one. We'll talk about him in a minute too. But back to John Clive on the extras for Yellow Submarine. This came out in 1999 when they brought the record out and stuff. On the extras for this, he's talking, as is Paul Angelis. I don't think Geoffrey Hughes is talking now, which is a shame on the extras. But he relates this. He was in New York at the time that John was murdered, and doing something. I think he was writing. He had a sort of writing career, and he was meeting a publisher or something like that. And he was thinking about looking John up. Apparently he said he was going to call him and say, "Hi, John, this is John." And he didn't, of course. And of course, he heard the news like we all did, was shocked by it. And then he had a phone call back home to his wife and his daughter Hannah. She was only about 7 at the time, I think he said, and she was very upset. And she thought that she was mixing John Lennon up with her dad, who played him in the movie. She apparently really loved Yellow Submarine, and he had to convince her that he was okay, which is right, a touching little story. His dad seemed like a nice man, and he's very, as I say, very familiar face to audiences in England. He was in the Italian Job. I remember a very distinctive face. You always remember him. And he was in sort of one of the Carry On films. He often played quite camp characters. And he was in, I think, Revenge of the Pink Panther. His face crops up a lot. He did a great job playing John. I think all of them did. They wanted to do this properly. They wanted to do it properly. And I'll talk about that in a moment, about how there was pressure on them. There seems to be a lot of pressure on this film. Mainly here I'm talking about the actors, not really about going into the depths about the movie and stuff. That voice you heard at the beginning, that was Paul Angelis, and he played Ringo in it, and he was actually from the Dingle, just like Ringo. He's the older brother of Michael Angelis. Funny Beatles connection, because obviously Ringo, for a while, voiced Thomas the Tank Engine. His voice was so popular, they wanted another Scouser, and they drafted in Michael Angelis. Remember, he was married to Helen Worth, who played Gail in Coronation Street. And there's another Coronation Street connection with the next actor I'm going to talk about. But let's not get ahead of myself. Paul Angelis was unsung hero of this, and there's actually quite a few unsung heroes, actually, if you think about it, because he also did the narration, which you heard at the beginning. Once upon a time, was it 80,000 leagues below the sea it lay, or lie? I'm not too sure. What a wonderful bit of narration he does, isn't he? That voice, and he also voiced. Yep, he also voiced Chief Blue Meanie. Max, it's a blue world, Max. The great villains, the meanies, aren't they? In there, Heinz Edelman, he was the Czech-born, German-based graphic designer, illustrator who designed all the stuff. Really, he designed all the creatures, all the characters, the look of the Beatles, the Yellow Submarine itself. Everything was designed by Hans Edelman. And Paul Angelis. Back to Paul Angelis. He was great friends with Roger McGough. Oh, Roger McGough, absolute hero of mine. I love him. Still with us, thank God. Bless him. And great Liverpool connections, because he was in the Scaffold, and he was in the Ruttles. And the Scaffold, of course, had Mike McCartney, or Mike McGear, Paul's younger brother, in it. So he's well connected. He's from Liverpool, and his team was Everton. Going back to the Ruttles again, aren't I? He introduced Roger McGough to maybe not to Brodax, because Brodax was like putting pressure. It took 11 months to make this movie. 11 months, and even when it came out in I think the summer of 1968, it still wasn't finished. That bit where the Beatles suddenly appear at the end as themselves, all in black. They're all in black because they were going to be put onto the like an early sort of green screen thing. They were going to be put into the animation, but there wasn't time to do it. So he introduced Paul Angelis introduced Roger McGough, and Roger McGough got hold of the script and thought it looked like somebody from the Bronx had written it. I think Lee Minoff was from Brooklyn, if I remember right. Anyway, that sort of thing, and he sort of, in his words, Liverpudlianized it all, scoused it up, as they would say. A lot of those nice little touches down to Roger McGough, and he didn't even get a credit. Bless him, absolute hero of mine. Anyway, let's talk about Geoffrey Hughes. Jeff Hughes, funny enough, another Everton fan. And I remember Jeff Hughes. I remember reading Jeff Hughes. The most thing he was proud of about the film was in the Eleanor Rigby sequence, where they have the blue team, which are Everton, and the red team, the footballers, all doing that. That's him. That's Jeff Hughes. One of the Everton squad. I think he was quite chuffed by that, because he was an Everton fan. And talk about beloved actors, Jeffrey Hughes. You're not going to find a more beloved actor than Geoffrey Hughes. Sadly passed away in 2012. I think the same year that John Clive passed away. So Jeff Hughes, from Coronation Street, Eddie Yates. Everyone remembers him as Eddie Yates, even now, years and years on. And then perhaps you might know, if you're from overseas, a lot of Americans I've met over the years loved keeping up appearances. Hyacinth, Bucket, or Bouquet, and Onslow. The Onslow, who's cooped up with Hyacinth's sister, Hyacinth's brother-in-law, the scruffy old Onslow, and he's brilliant, wasn't he, as Onslow? And then people will know him from Heartbeat, which is a long-running sort of wonderful drama was Heartbeat. It went to many seasons, and was a big shock to a lot of people when they axed it in the end, because it was beloved of shows. Great show set in the North Yorkshire moors. He played Vernon Scripps in that, didn't he? And then the royal family, Twiggy, Ricky Tomlinson, and dear Caroline Aherne, who I once knew her briefly, bless her. But yeah, Geoffrey Hughes as Paul McCartney, and again, they didn't get any real big sort of publicity. I don't think they even originally they weren't going to invite them to the premiere. Even they wanted to keep it dark. You know, they wanted people to sort of think, oh, it is the Beatles, because they sounded like the Beatles. They wanted to think it was the Beatles. You know, I think if you're a real big fan, you could tell it wasn't them. But to most people's ears, they probably wouldn't have known. You know, and the producers wanted to keep it to that too. But there was lots of stories about them. You know, they won't be able to understand the Liverpool accents, make it more, you know. And I think they sort of compromised by slowing down slowing down what they said a bit, you know. But they got their own way, as in, you know, keeping the accuracy of the accent. There's all that sort of stuff these days people do, thanks largely to Harry Enfield and the Scousers. All right, buddy. Come on, buddy. Come on. There's a lot of caricatures about that, and not a great thing, but yeah, George Harrison, the Quiet Beatle, was ironically played by a very quiet actor in this. Well, he wasn't an actor for a start. It was a guy called Peter Batten. From all accounts, and there are very little accounts about him. I've tried my best in my limited resources since I've been planning this in the last week to find out anything about him, and you know, I think there have been attempts to trace him over the years, but basically what happened was they used to go the studios, TVC, television cartoons, or same company that made the awful American series, made it for them. Again, apologies if you're a fan of it, but it was pretty dreadful, wasn't it? TVC in London and Soho, where all the as is still the case today, lots of media and production offices still are located, and in the heart of Soho, Bateman Street in Soho, if you know, the Dog and Duck was the local pub, and they production crew evidently used to go drinking there. I remember Terry Gilliam talks about that when he first came to London. He'd heard that was the place to hang out, where all the animation people hung out. You know, go down the Dog and Duck. Anyway, they were in there, and evidently one of the producers, one of the whoever, I can't remember now, heard him talking. Obviously a Scouser, and went over to him, approached him, and asked him if he'd be George in the film. Amazingly, they seem to have had a problem casting George. I mean, can't be short of Scouse actors, you know. Norman Rossington, who played Norm in Hard Day's Night, springs to mind. You know, you don't hear that Scouse accent a lot, do you? In movies in the 60s. Anyway, Peter Batten. Some people, I don't know where they got this from, suggested he might have gone to Dovedale, which was the primary school that John went to. I think George went to too. Is that right? I can't remember. So yeah, he was recruited there and then on the spot. What a great gig, you know, to play George's voice, you know. And he did it, and he's in the film, and then famously, well, you may not know, but I think a lot of people do know this now. It's better known than it was. That he was arrested. He was he'd gone AWOL from the British Army, apparently stationed on the Rhine in Germany, and after recording quite a bit of the George stuff, he was got a call from the Red Caps, the military police, the Red Caps, as they're known over here. That left some stuff to do still, and who stepped in? Paul Angelis again stepped in, which makes you think, why didn't they just ask him from the start? But what a great story, eh? The actor that played, is that ever happened? Is that the only time an actor in a major production like this, or a voice not seen, but was actually arrested during the actual shoot. That itself would make a great movie, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that make a great movie? That would make a wonderful movie. Why did they make that instead of instead of the Beatle biopics? That would be much more interesting. Peter Batten, yeah. So disappeared from history. Nobody's been able to find him since. I wish somebody would find him. He might not be with us still. He might have gone. Yeah. All the others are. Bless them. Yeah. Bless their memory. The Yellow Submarine actors. Yeah. John Clive. John. Paul Angelis. Ringo. And George. And Jeffrey Hughes as Paul. Bless them. And of course, you had other voice talents in this, like Dick Emery. Oh, I love Dick Emery, don't you? Oh, you are awful, but I like you. And he's the voice of, he's definitely the voice of the Nowhere Man in this, and he does a few other voices as well. He does Max, the sidekick to Chief Blue Meanie. And yeah, and Lance Percival, funnily enough, is in there too, doing I think Old Fred. Yeah, and funny enough, he was in the Notorious cartoons. I think playing Paul and Ringo. So he was brought back. This is something I've had for a while. I didn't have it when I was a kid, but it's an English, or the British copy of the sort of picture book of it all, which is really nice, isn't it? Yeah, 7 and 6 UK, sold in Australia and New Zealand as well. So you might have had a copy of you in Australia and New Zealand of it all, and it's got the actual credits here. They're written by Lee Menhoff, Al Brodax, Jack Mendelson, and Eric Siegel. It was Al Brodax. He was the producer who the Beatles didn't like, and John didn't like particularly. I think he in Hey Bulldog is directed towards him, isn't he? And I seem to remember one of the last interviews John did. He described the Yellow Submarine people as being like animals. I think he was referring to Al Brodax, not all the wonderful talent who designed it all, in England. But Al Brodax, animals. Oh yeah, I was just going to show you my just some of my things, just to finish off with, like an original 60s Yellow Submarine release. And very nice to have the old 60s albums, isn't it, on the Apple label? Yeah. And then we've got this this album's derided, isn't it? People, because it's obviously has got Yellow Submarine, Only Northern Song, Altogether Now, Hey Bulldog, It's All Too Much. I love It's All Too Much, don't you? It's one of my favourites. It's criminally underrated. It's All Too Much. I love it. We Need Love, but it's got all the B-side is all the George Martin, the beautiful score that George Martin wrote for this movie. Absolutely love this. I remember loving, and I think John was a bit rude about it, wasn't he? Lennon was a bit rude about it, but I loved it. I just love this album. And then I think in the 30th anniversary, they brought this Yellow Submarine song-track album out. Nice, flashy gatefold sleeve, and of course it's on. Well, the best thing about it really is it's on yellow vinyl. Yeah. But to be honest with you, even though they remix the songs and it's quite nice, quite a nice thing to have, I'd rather have this. Maybe I'm in a minority, I realise, but this is my favourite than this. I think this is almost being erased from history, isn't it? Just like the Magical Mystery Tour EP and that American album of Mystery Tour with the songs on it, like Strawberry Fields and Penny Lane. And of course, this one's got all the songs. It's nice to have, but this is my album. This is lovely. Anyway, yeah, gonna let you go. Thank you ever so much for spending time with me here. Bless you. Will I see you again? I sincerely hope so.